McClane, this what you expected?
No. This is just the beginning.
Hey, what's up everybody? Thank you so much for stopping by the channel. I hope all is going great for you out there in your worlds. We're continuing through the Die Hard franchise today. In my last video, I shared my thoughts on the 1988 classic Die Hard, and in this video, we're diving into the 1990 sequel Die Hard 2, known to some, including myself, as Die Hard 2 Die Harder. So let's not waste any time and let's get into this very capable blockbuster sequel.
Another basement, another elevator. How could the same shit happen to the same guy twice?
Bruce Willis had a paycheck of $5 million in the first Die Hard. The movie turned Willis into an international action star. He was given a raise to $7.5 million to star as John McClane a second time. The budget of this movie was also increased up to $70 million. Die Hard 2 would hit theaters in July of 1990. The action was larger in spectacle. The story was more involved, with the one-liners and self-awareness from Willis being amplified as well. It did follow many of the same beats of Die Hard, yet audiences loved it, and the film brought in $240 million globally, making it another success. Die Hard director John McTiernan was locked up with his work on The Hunt for Red October at the time, so Nightmare on Elm Street 4 director Renny Harlan was given the job, and I gotta say I think he did a great job in bringing just all the needed excess to this action sequel, but at the same time making it all work together nicely. At times this feels like an 80s action movie, but it's got a lot of splashed in digital effects to complement the old school practical stunt work. The action was over the top and just loaded with variety, from classic shootouts and fight scenes to incorporating snowmobiles and airliners, with many of the larger set pieces still holding up, which makes this just a great 90s action movie to watch that has a heavy 80s influence.
Please! Nice guess, asshole. I'm a cop. That was a bad guy. Where's your ID? On its way to Cleveland?
Like the first movie, this one was also set on Christmas Eve. John McClane is at Washington Dulles International Airport. He's there to pick up his wife, who is soon due to land, but there's also a Central American general in custody being flown to that same airport. And of course, a group of mercenaries are going to take that airport hostage to free that imprisoned general, and John McClane is going to be forced to have no choice but to stop them, this time before his wife's plane runs out of fuel and crashes. So essentially, it's the same entree as the first Die Hard, with just a change up to some of the key ingredients, making it very similar but also a little different. Los Angeles and Nakatomi Plaza are swapped out with the snowy Washington Dulles Airport. The hostages on the ground this time are hostages in the air, and once again, McClane's wife Holly Gennaro is one of them. The story was a lot more ambitious and it had a lot more moving pieces, but it's also a little bit more far-fetched with more than a few conveniences to it. It also does lack that realistic vibe of the first, but for an exciting action movie, I thought it serves it up nicely. It builds intensity. It's littered with explosive action as a team of bad guys take the planes in the air hostage, and I thought it was kind of unique. I just think it's a fun, exciting sequel. The suspension of disbelief admittedly is increased, as is the comedic undertones, but it all blends together into a charismatic action thriller. I can always get into this movie when it's on. Willis was great in the lead once again. He does turn up the attempted humor more than a little bit. There's a lot more self-awareness, a heavier influence on just cartoonish mannerisms and one-liners, but McClane is still more than enough to carry the film, despite the character not being much more advanced from where he was when we met him in the first movie.
Say I close in about an hour. Maybe we can go get a drink?
Just the facts, man.
I think there's just a charm about this movie despite it being a retread of the first. It does have a capable villain with William Sadler, but despite the intimidating presence that he gives off, he did feel much more like just a cardboard baddie that was greatly lacking that charm and eccentricity of Rickman's Hans Gruber in the first movie. The storyline here is much larger in scale with bigger action set pieces. We get tons of explosions, fist fights, and shootouts, and I think it all sums up into everything you could ask for in an 80s action movie that came out in 1990. McClane is riding around and shooting it out on snowmobiles. He's fighting on the wing of a moving plane and taking down bad guys from scene to scene with all the charm and adrenaline pumping energy you could hope for from a sequel. And giving a movie a location as notable as Nakatomi Plaza is not going to be easy. The massive skyscraper in Die Hard was a bit of a character in its own right. McClane working from floor to floor was just a tense game of cat and mouse that brought a heightened suspense to the movie overall. With Die Hard 2, the location once again, in my opinion, added more than just a simple setting from the story. I think a busy airport to me was the perfect place for the sequel. Just the entire scenario of all these planes full of passengers unable to land and so many people being around the airport increased the intensity of the story. It really created some unique action sequences and naturally just raised the stakes dramatically for McClane. Plus, the snowy weather just creates an immersive wintry atmosphere that subtly creates a warm, inviting vibe to the movie too, making it feel like a nice Christmas movie, or as I like to refer to this sequel as, the Die Hard movie. No one debates on being a holiday movie, despite being a little bit more of a Christmas movie than the first one, but that's just me. And like I mentioned, the overall scope of the action was greatly amplified in this one. Willis pours a ton of effort into the role once again, does a lot of his own stunt work. I think there's still a lot of great practical effects that hold up nicely in this movie. Watching McClane take down bad guys in the Annex Skywalk is still just a fun shootout to watch, with Willis seeming to love every minute of it, and despite its absurdity and some conveniently timed grenades, the ejector seat sequence is still one of my favorite moments in the entire franchise, and by topping it off with McClane out on the wing of a moving plane kicking ass in the snow, Renny Harlan did a great job of filling this sequel with non-stop excitement and suspense. The scoring from Michael Kamen doesn't skip a beat from Die Hard. It gives the entire film just energy and intensity. The scoring creates just a subtle but strong emotional undercurrent throughout the highs and lows of McClane's mission. It's another wrong place at the wrong time situation, and the film embraces it. So, gotta give this movie 85% on the meter. I think it was a success. I think Willis as McClane was a little bit bigger in terms of his hero status. He was a little too tongue-in-cheek at times in the dialogue department as well, but he was still that grounded, average guy that you can really not help but love. The plausibility may be a little bit flawed at times, but it's action-packed with more than enough ambition to make it a great time. Now, let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments on this sequel. Also, if you missed my review of Die Hard, you can find it listed in the cards and in the end-screen links and down in the description below. And if you've been enjoying this trip down Die Hard lane, be on the lookout for the next video covering 1995's Die Hard with a Vengeance, coming very soon. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop it a thumbs up, leave a comment below. I'd love to talk movies with you guys. Share it with your friends, and without question, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can never miss a video. Here are some links to some recent reviews just in case you missed them. All my social media links and the link to our official website are down in the description below, and I'll catch you next time.